Today's video begins in Reedham, where this poor boat sank after high tides and heavy rain. No one was on the boat at the time, but a man does usually live on it on the River Yare. It seems the boat was raised up onto the quayside by high waters and then sank. The Daily Mail reports possible class action by homeowners affected by the floods. Group litigation, class action, the legal term used in the UK to describe collective legal action brought by a group of claimants that have been affected by an occurrence in the same way, whether it be negligence, an incident or other cause. Also, in the news, the row over the huge hikes in toll fees on the Norfolk Broads has escalated after a group of boat hire firms lodged an official complaint with the government. The Boat Federation has appealed to the Department of Transport and said the rises introduced by the Broads Authority are threatening to put boatyards and other firms out of business. The Federation says that the 13% increase in tolls decision and the consultation process leading to it were unlawful and unreasonable. The increase in April added more than £200 for large hire boats, when many boatyards had suffered a fall in bookings. This comes just after the Broads Authority voted to introduce another toll increase for 2024 of 8.5%. There's been so much news this week, it's actually been quite difficult to keep up with it all. Now it's said that the new Herring Bridge is to blame for the floods in the Norfolk Broads villages. The new bridge cost £121 million and has just opened this week for ships and will be manned 24/7, 365 days a year. It won't be until later in 2024 that traffic is allowed to go over it. It's said that the new bridge has reduced the river by a third. Potter Heigham, Horning, Wroxham, Surlingham and Geldeston all have large areas underwater. Another article says apparently beavers could play a part in preventing the flooding in Norfolk. That is literally all the article says, but when they release more details about this idea, I'll let you know what they say. Perhaps you'd like to give me your comments about this in the comments below. Every day the floods are in the newspapers. Today, Friday, is no exception. It states that flood wardens remain on standby as the water levels remain high. The rivers are unlikely to return to normal levels for another 3 weeks. An amber flood warning remains in place. Potter Heigham chip shop has temporarily closed, and the garden centre and the car park at the rear of Latham's have also closed. Latham's is still open though and always has been. On the day of making this part of the video, customers and boaters still struggled to access Herbert Woods due to the raised flood barrier. The next article is from the BBC. Someone else has posted this paragraph from them, and it will also be added to the list of all the articles I've used to make this video. I'm using all the articles under fair use and fair dealing copyright law. The Broads Authority said it was not responsible, but worked with the Environment Agency, which has the statutory responsibility for flood alleviation. It said it carried out a year-round dredging programme, but this offered little protection in flood-prone areas. It is a common misconception that more dredging will alleviate flooding in tidal river systems. An Environment Agency spokesman told the BBC it was not responsible for flooding on the Broads. Just as I'm thinking I've got to the end of this video, there is a newspaper article out today, which I'm now up to Saturday, which says the bridge is the cause of all this horrendous flooding. Great Yarmouth's new £121 million bridge has increased the risk of flooding. Official documents show a report commissioned by Norfolk County Council when it was considering building the herring bridge across the Yare in Great Yarmouth, acknowledged that the structure would lead to an increase in water depths on the floodplain during a flood event. However, the studies only looked at Great Yarmouth and Reedham water. The council's consultant said the risk was negligible. I can't say that word. And the planning inspector said the Environment Agency had not requested a wider river flood scenario in the assessment. Critics say failure to consider the risk beyond Breydon was a mistake. The impact of the bridge on the northern rivers was overlooked. So, there's an awful lot in the news this week. There's been something every single day. Now, this is actually the second video I've made concerning all the news. The first one just won't upload. I don't know why, I don't know what's wrong with it. But of course I had all the bridge pieces in at the right time where I was telling you about the bridge and about Breydon water, etc, etc. So in here, the footage doesn't go with what I'm saying. But hopefully this one will upload and this is what you'll be seeing. That's just how it goes sometimes. Perhaps it's nicer to see the snow on the thatched boat sheds at Hickling. And Anita said here, look, the river's frozen. So perhaps the snow, well, the snow's in the news, so perhaps it does go with it. I actually filmed all this footage today, Saturday. I thought I'd have a look and see, what was frozen, where the snow was. And as you can see, there was some here at London Bridge. I think you all enjoyed discussing the bridge and the floods and everything else that was in the first video of all the news. So feel free to do that again with this one. Some of you were chatting to each other, which is always lovely to see. This week's final story is at the Winter Gardens in Great Yarmouth, the only building of its kind still standing in the country. Victorian glass house is set to be restored to its former glory, costing at least £10 million. The building was constructed in Torquay in 1878, but it was a failing business venture and so was bought by Great Yarmouth Borough Council. It was dismantled and transported to Great Yarmouth. Here it was used as a ballroom, a roller skating rink, an amusement arcade, and amongst many other different uses. In 2008, it was thought the building was unsafe, and in 2017, it was named one of the UK's most endangered buildings. Expensive to keep up, and even more expensive to tear down. 2 years later, the council reported it was in danger of collapse. It's going to be a new restaurant cafe, an exhibition area and public seating area for 140 people. Let's hope after its restoration, it stands for another 100 years or more. That's it from me. Have a good week and I'll be back soon.